Welcome, my wide-eyed horror kitties, to another spine-chilling episode of 3AM's Darkest Tales. This month, we're delving into stories from the front lines. Our brave doctors, nurses, and caregivers who navigate the thin line between life and death every day. Being a nurse is no walk in the park. Long shifts, countless patients, and an atmosphere thick with the energy of those clinging to life, or something else. But tonight's story isn't just about the living. Sometimes, when you think you've left the hospital behind, something follows you home, a presence you never invited. This tale, When the Dead Follow You Home, is one of unsettling encounters, and a nurse who realizes that not every patient stays behind. Stay with us until the end, to find out what happens when the boundary between life and death blurs.
There's a rule I've lived by ever since I knew I had a third eye. Never let them know you can see them. Working at the hospital, I've seen my share of spirits, some wandering the halls, others lingering by their loved ones' bedsides. But the thing is, if they find out you can see them, they'll never leave you alone. And not all spirits are kind. If you can't help them, some will turn angry. That morning, I had just finished my shift. Exhausted, I was heading home, doing my best to ignore the shadowy figures that drifted in and out of view. I've never been able to control it. This ability to see the dead, it just happens, and when it does, I have to act like I don't notice. Otherwise, I'd be haunted day and night, plagued by their endless demands for help. But as I walked through the hospital doors, I felt something different. There was a presence, stronger than usual, trailing me as I left. My skin prickled, a chill running down my spine. But I didn't dare turn around. I knew better. By the time I reached my grandparents' old house, where I lived with my cousin, aunt, and older sister, the sense of unease had grown. It felt like I had brought something home with me, something that wasn't going to leave easily. Inside, the house was filled with the familiar sounds of my cousin hammering away on his keyboard, gaming instead of studying as usual. My aunt was there too, reading quietly on a smaller couch, and she gestured for me to take the big one, noticing how exhausted I was. I didn't protest, too drained to do anything but collapse onto it. But sleep didn't come. Instead, I was hit with waves of dizziness, like I was being pulled into some kind of fog. I tried to speak, but the words didn't sound like my own. They were garbled, foreign, like someone else was trying to talk through me. My cousin glanced up from his game, confused.
What are you saying?
But I couldn't respond properly. The world spun faster, and then I saw her, the woman. Her figure was faint, flickering like a bad signal, but her eyes were filled with sorrow and desperation. My aunt, noticing something was very wrong, instructed my cousin to fetch my older sister from upstairs.
"Go get her now,"
she said, her voice sharp with worry. My sister rushed downstairs, taking one look at me and realizing the situation wasn't normal. She's a nurse too, grounded in science, but like me, she also has a third eye, one that opens unusually when mine does. Without saying a word, she knew what had to be done. She sat beside me on the couch, her rosary in hand, and started praying. Her voice was calm but firm, even though I could see the tears starting to flow from her eyes. As she prayed, I felt the woman's presence start to fade, but not completely. In that moment, I heard it, the spirit's voice, clear as day.
"You are so fortunate someone prays for you."
The words sent a chill through me. There was no anger in her voice, only longing and envy. Slowly, I felt my strength return. My head cleared, and the weight of the spirit's presence lifted. My sister's prayers had worked. For now. But the spirit's words lingered, heavy with meaning. When it was over, I sat up, still shaken, but relieved. I told my sister everything, the woman's desperation and the haunting envy in her voice. My sister nodded, thoughtful.
Maybe she needed prayers. Or maybe she just wanted to be remembered.
The spirit, for reasons unknown, decided to stay in our house after that, but she wasn't as menacing as when I first encountered her. For a time, it felt like she had taken on the role of a guardian, watching over us. Many years have passed and we've since moved to a new house. I haven't seen her in a long time, I got married, had kids, and didn't experience the same haunting as before. My sister once asked me if I could still feel the spirit's presence. I shook my head. Then she admitted that to this day, whenever she thinks of that time, she still says a small, quiet prayer for the spirit. We don't know if it's helped or if she's truly moved on, but it feels like the right thing to do. Sometimes when the house is quiet and the night is still, I wonder if she's still out there, watching, waiting. And sometimes, when I close my eyes at night, I still hear her whisper,
You are so fortunate someone prays for you.
Well, my wide-eyed horror kitties, I hope you've enjoyed yet another chilling tale from 3 a.m.'s Darkest Tales. Remember, the next time you lock eyes with someone, be careful. You never know who or what might be looking back, hoping to follow you home.